So, let's get real. Did I just waste $800 on these glasses? Well, for the past 6 months or so, I've been asking myself the exact same question many times, and I think I figured it out by now. For those who've missed it, these are the Meta Ray-Ban Display, so-called smart glasses that feature a small screen that gives you heads-up information, and are being partly controlled by a neural band that lets you navigate its apps. I've been using them a lot during my travels, and functionality-wise have pushed them to the limit. Saying I know all the pros and cons is an understatement. From the moment Mark Zuckerberg unveiled the displays on stage to their seemingly rushed launch shortly after, it was clear the company wanted to get its smart glasses to market ahead of Apple and Google. Now, 6 months in, it's interesting to see whether that strategy has actually paid off or not. So why don't we just start with the basics? Comfort and everyday wear. I'm relieved to say that, for me personally, those things have never really been an issue. Despite having all that technology packed inside, they don't actually feel that heavy. 69 grams is not a small number, and visually they are definitely on the larger side, but once you wear them for a while, the weight itself isn't something that consumes you. On a side note, I do have a narrow face, and even with the smallest size, they never felt as snug as I would have liked. So whenever I am moving around more actively, walking fast, turning my head and/or looking down, I find myself adjusting them quite often. Looking at the build quality of these, they've held up well. Besides a few scratches here and there on the sides of the frames, they still look as new. I'm happy to report that the lenses are in good condition too, but these days the hinges do feel a bit loose, and notice the microphone has a harder time picking up my voice. The neural band honestly feels like it's in a league of its own, but I'll cover that in more detail later. The charging case is a bit of a different story. On the positive side, it's fully foldable and offers up to 30 hours of battery life, and on the downside, it can feel bulky, tends to snap open when dropped, and doesn't leave room for the neural band. Even taking the glasses out can be a bit of a hassle, with the magnetic mechanism feeling slightly overcomplicated. In terms of style, I personally don't feel self-conscious wearing my displays, but I know it's a matter of taste. I've slowly been going down the rabbit hole myself of wearing larger sunglasses because I think they complement my outfits. And once you're too deep into that, anything the size of a regular pair of Ray-Bans starts feeling tiny. Current fashion trends kind of follow the rule that the bigger, the better, so in public, these don't stand out as much as you'd expect. Let me know in the comments what you think. Do you think they look nerdy or cool? I mean, whatever. I've been on the internet long enough, so you can roast me or you can be nice. Be my guest. Surprise me. One thing that's also worth mentioning is how the Meta Ray-Ban display actually works. It's a monocular screen, meaning it only sits in your right eye. So whenever information pops up, it's slightly off-center from your natural view. I got used to it pretty quickly and didn't really experience any eye strain, but I've had multiple people try mine who found it distracting or had trouble focusing on the info. It's a given that glasses with dual displays have broader mainstream appeal, and I don't think monocular displays are a long-term fit for most consumers. I would say that in busy environments or bright conditions, it can take a bit more effort to read what's being shown. It's not a deal breaker, but it's something you need to get used to. The glasses do adjust the brightness, but I still catch myself looking for the best viewing angle to make them work in the long run. Before I get into the elephant in the room, and trust me, you do want to stick around for that, I want to talk about the neural band, because this accessory is honestly amazing, and unlike the displays, already feel like it has earned its spot in the industry. As I teased, it allows you to control the interface using subtle finger and hand gestures. You can pinch to select, swipe to scroll, summon Meta AI with your thumb, twist to turn up the volume, and even write messages by tracing letters on a surface or in mid-air, making you feel like you're living in the future. Once you get used to it, this input system, in combination with its haptic feedback, feels surprisingly natural, especially in situations where talking to your glasses or touching the frames is not ideal. Comfort-wise, it's lightweight and doesn't dig into your skin. It does tend to catch dirt, and after a few months, you start to see the material fraying at the edges. You can wear it under your clothes and or with gloves if you like. Don't get too hyped, okay? Because the neural band isn't perfect, but we're close. We're very, very close. Gesture recognition can be inconsistent and Bluetooth connection issues sometimes occur. The biggest downside is that it is an additional device you must remember to wear and charge. While I happily slap on my smartwatch every day, thinking about the neural band does feel like extra effort. Using the display without the band is possible, but because the interface is so visual, relying on only voice or touch can feel awkward and clumsy. For Meta, the next logical step would be to create a smartwatch, and looking at recent rumors, they're already working on one as we speak. This is of course where Apple has a serious advantage, having sold over 280 million units. I would not be surprised they are going to make them work with their glasses once they're being announced. We'll see. Time will tell. When I first got my set of glasses and neural band, I was seriously blown away. I had already experienced an early prototype of Meta's AR glasses, so I kind of knew what I was getting into. If you haven't watched my video on Project Orion, I'll make sure to leave a link in the description below. But anyways, finally getting to own a pair of wearables that are an early blueprint, let's say first step towards full-on AR glasses, was really exciting. Like every honeymoon phase, I was just super hyped at first, trying to use them all day and figuring out which apps added something to my daily life and which ones didn't. You see, I originally expected that most of its main features would be things I'd want to use every day, with the assumption they're the same kind of apps you use on your phone, but instead are like hands-free versions you wear on your face. Boy, was I wrong! Why don't we start with one of the most epic ones, navigation. And I can tell you that seeing directions in your field of view is absolutely crazy. It's like you're looking at a GTA minimap, making your way through a world full of NPCs. You can see all the highlights around you, zoom in and out of the map, and swipe through opening times. But when I realized it only works for walking within a small radius and only in specific cities, it didn't take long before my phone spawned back into my hands. The translation app is probably the most legit one of the bunch, because when I speak to someone, it transcribes what they say and shows live captions in another language. It currently supports Spanish, Italian, French, German, and English, and it's surprisingly accurate. There is still a noticeable delay in translation, but for anyone who's hard of hearing or deaf, this could be a real game changer. It's almost like you've unlocked live subtitles in real life. Beyond that, the Meta display also translates written text and overlays a language directly onto the foreign one, and it works impressively well. While visiting my parents abroad, it easily translated signs and labels from Dutch into, let's say, English. It has definitely resulted in me keeping my phone in my pocket more, but being restricted to Meta's limited language pack does sometimes result in me needing my phone again. As for music, let's just keep it brief, because you can access your favorite playlist, turn up the volume with your hand, and let your voice assistant pick a track based on your environment. Listening to music is something I do a lot on smart glasses, as it's nice to keep your ears free, but I can't say that visually seeing the album cover adds much right now. Maybe I was hoping for a karaoke feature where the lyrics spawn into your view and you can start singing along. Then there is video capture. Pay attention, because this is a hell of an app, which continues to be one of my most used features to date. The fact that I can capture moments while simultaneously enjoying my surroundings without pulling out my phone is such a freeing experience. Unlike regular smart glasses, you get a live preview of what you're recording, giving you the opportunity to frame things perfectly. It shoots at 3K at 30 FPS and records for up to 5 minutes. Stabilization, contrast, and brightness holds up well in daylight, while nighttime results are more mixed. When I hit the record button, an LED light illuminates to let people know I'm recording. And on top of that, you also get a 3x zoom through the neural band. It still feels a bit gimmicky since the quality just isn't there. So it's not something I found myself using often, but I can see how it might enhance people's view in the near future. The resolution of photos is good enough to keep my phone out of my view as well, but for group pictures, a mobile device is still better. After a recording is done, you can directly review everything in the gallery, decide what to keep on the spot, and send it off right away to friends or family. Anyhow, Instagram, yes, Instagram is worth highlighting as well. Every time I tell people I can swipe through reels inside my glasses, they go wild. And having used this app, I can confirm it's pretty legit. As you can't see the screen on the outside, you can swipe through reels in public without anyone seeing what you're watching. What is neat is that after I've taken a video, I can ask Meta AI to post it directly to my stories or reels. Which is, well, super neat, but you can't customize it like you would on mobile. Speaking of customization, today's sponsor, VRWave, does let you pimp your display glasses with prescriptions and stylish colored lenses for the Gen 2s. You can completely change the look and feel of the entire lineup with custom-made options tailored to your eyes. VRWave offers way more variety than what Meta currently provides, including different lens styles and coatings like mirrored and gradient finishes. The installation process is super straightforward too. On the display glasses, the prescription lenses simply attach over the originals, while on the Gen 2s you can pop the default lenses out and replace them with your customized pair in just seconds. One option that really stands out are the photochromic lenses. These automatically adjust their tint depending on UV exposure, staying clear indoors and darkening outside to sunglasses level protection. It basically means you don't have to keep switching between regular and sunglasses anymore. If you want to check them out yourself, head over to vrwave.com, shipping worldwide. You'll find more info down in the description, and if you have any prescription-related questions, you can always message VRWave directly. This may sound a bit weird, but a feature that I wish I could use more are video calls. I can see who's calling, I can chat with folks while seeing their faces and share my perspective too. And when it works, it's fantastic. Seeing someone in your view without grabbing your phone, well, staying aware of your surroundings and sharing your point of view feels incredibly convenient. It's one of the main features that I think has the most potential to go truly mainstream. I especially enjoy it when I'm experiencing something exciting and don't want to shove my phone into my face. The only real thing you're missing is being able to share your own reactions. I don't think it will be long before Meta rolls out virtual avatars to solve this problem. The bigger issue right now is that you're bound to Meta's own services, like WhatsApp or Messenger, which aren't where I usually talk to my friends. Now, for those who have to do presentations, the new Teleprompter feature is quite impressive too, and works as a great safety net for those who do get a little nervous talking in front of an audience. In meetings, having a few bullet points ready can be just as useful. Lastly, there's Meta AI. I honestly thought that having a heads-up display would make me use it way more, but in reality, just like my other smart glasses, I use it for very basic things like checking the weather, asking about the news, having it read out your calendar, playing music, or converting currencies. I'm still not sure if everything you ask needs to be visually shown. Sometimes it adds real value, like giving step-by-step instructions for a recipe or learning how to take care of a plant you want to purchase. Other times it just shows you a picture of something you're already looking at, along with the first few sentences of a Wikipedia article, when you were actually looking for something more specific. Before we move on from the apps to the next subject, one thing about Meta AI I do want to highlight specifically is how much potential it has for visually impaired users. There's the Be My Eyes network, which allows sighted volunteers to assist you in real time by streaming your view to them. And Meta AI can also describe your surroundings through spoken summaries, almost like having a personal tour guide. I obviously don't use these features much myself, but for those who experience the world differently, it could have a real impact. So that's how I feel about these apps 6 months in, and I wish there were more apps I could tell you about, like mail, health, but the displays still don't have a dedicated app store. If there was one, I wouldn't be expecting a huge amount of content anyway, but even a modest selection would help create a testing ground for both consumers and developers to explore what the future could look like. Even with the apps you do have, you're running into one problem, and that is the current user interface, because it doesn't let you fully multitask. If you are, let's say, wanting to video call someone while at the same time looking at your map while navigating, then that's not happening. It means you need to be quite flexible and patient to make the displays work in your daily life. But most will agree that in many cases, you will still need your phone. As soon as I came to the realization that you can't rely on the displays alone, my routine completely changed. I still went out wearing them, but ended up avoiding some of its features. You're basically forced to adapt to the glasses instead of the glasses adapting to you, and that's not how a consumer product should feel. To be fair, this is a first-gen product, so I understand that Meta is still figuring out where glasses with built-in screens truly fit, and the software kind of reflects that. It is clear the company's main focus is trying to figure out whether these glasses should partially replace our phones or simply complement them the way a smartwatch does. But it is a given that a solid ecosystem is king. Some apps already feel genuinely useful, while others are experimental. But Meta simply doesn't have enough in-house software right now that you and I rely on every day. WhatsApp and Instagram are great, but if you are an iPhone or Android user, Meta's ecosystem simply feels too limited. If they can't or don't want to work with tech giants like Apple or Google, it will be difficult to build an ecosystem all by themselves. Now let's chat about a big elephant in the room, and the main reason why 6 months later, I'm having a hard time using these glasses. It's something you hope a company has figured out before selling it to the public. Well, unless Meta can fix this with software, the battery life remains the display's biggest drawback. Throughout my time with them, they have been extremely power hungry, lasting around 4 to 5 hours on a full charge. This is based on mixed use, like recording videos, using AI, or scrolling through apps. The battery just drains way too fast to keep up with daily activities. I found myself charging them at least a few times a day, and even worse, avoiding certain features or turning the glasses off whenever I wasn't using them, just to preserve battery life. You constantly start to think about how much juice you have left, and before you know it, you're planning your usage around the device instead of the device catering to your daily life. And that's a very unnatural way of using something that's supposed to fit seamlessly into your routine. I think not going with a dual chip design for the displays was a big mistake. I understand that a bright screen naturally drains battery, but this could have been handled more efficiently by offloading certain tasks to a companion chip. Another option could have been an external compute puck similar to the one used with Project Orion. However, paired with a neural band, that might introduce more fatigue by adding yet another device users have to carry around. Right now, running on a fairly dated Snapdragon AR1 Gen 1 chipset, it feels like what the device is trying to do is simply too ambitious for what it's powered by. I've experienced unresponsive apps, occasional crashes, and Meta AI taking longer than it should to respond. Maybe this also explains why Meta is so hesitant about a dedicated app store and why we haven't seen them implement certain features. To their credit, they've been really trying their best to optimize things, but it already feels like the design is starting to hit its limits. Another reason why I think companies like Apple have an advantage here. They control the entire hardware and software stack, which may make it easier to deliver a balanced trade-off. So, 6 months later, did I waste $800 on these glasses or not? Surprisingly, the answer for me is not as clear as saying yes or no. On one hand, the display glasses gave me an early glimpse into both the potential and limitations of smart glasses with built-in screens. And for someone whose passion, hobbies, and work revolve around this kind of technology, I think they were worth the investment. Over the past few months, I learned what works, doesn't, and why the current form might not be ready for everyday use. I genuinely believe this category is here to stay, but you can still tell it's searching for its identity. Right now, it struggles to define its place alongside smartphones and smartwatches. I know it fits somewhere in that space, but it's still too early to tell exactly where. I expect the next generation display to give us a lot more insights. That said, where you could say I did waste money is not on wearing them daily. Limited features and the lack of multitasking definitely played a role in that decision, but I've also seen those areas gradually improve over time, which is why I haven't given up on them completely. The biggest issue for me has been the battery life. Once a product makes you constantly think about the charge levels, it stops feeling convenient. And that's why on longer days or trips, I usually reach for a pair of regular smart glasses, like the Oakley or the Gen 2s, because I know I can rely on them all day. Of course, that also means giving up many of its visual features in favor of a more audio-focused experience. So I'm hoping the next gen of displays becomes efficient enough that I won't have to make that trade-off anymore. So whether you're a developer or just considering buying as a consumer, I'd probably recommend waiting for whatever comes next. If you weren't specifically looking for a product from Meta, then I'm sure by the time you're watching this video, there are plenty of other smart glasses on the market from companies like Google, Snap, and maybe Apple. Who knows? So yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see which ecosystems you can pick, especially if you already own a phone, a laptop, and a smartwatch from a company that makes wearables too. So time will tell. I can't wait. Let me know in the comments below what you are looking for. Is there a certain company you would like to buy glasses from? Or are you just holding off and seeing where the market is taking us? Let me know. Until next time, and bye-bye for now. Yes, exciting times.